Hey everyone, I am Josh and
I'm Jack.
And this week we have Ann Hutchison from the Barberton Library. This is going to be informative. We'll be back in a second. You're listening to Magic City Neighbors on the Mic, where we talk to your Barberton neighbors about their stories, their insights, and what gets them laughing. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And now, to the show. Welcome back, everyone. As I said, we've got an interesting episode this week, but this week's episode is sponsored by Pedal Stomper Productions. As we get into summer, there's all sorts of events and activities that you want to capture memories from, but do you really want to do those things through your cell phone? It's less expensive than you may think to have Pedal Stomper Productions come out and take great photos of your event that will last a lifetime and also be great marketing material if that's what you're looking for too. Go to pedalstopperproductions.com today to get your event on the calendar. Now, as before, I said I am Josh. Last time I checked.
I'm still Jack.
You are?
I am,
Good.
But I'm graduated now, actually.
Congratulations.
I'm an adult now. Thank you.
That's scary.
Moving up there.
It's wonderful and scary. And across the table from us, it's the director of the Barberton Library, correct?
Correct.
Ann Hutchison. So we've got some big questions for you. We've also got some small questions for you. and then we've got some usual questions for you. So I'm going to start with one of my big ones. So I follow the library on social media. And it's crazy the amount of stuff. There's always a new thing, a new event, service, whatever. I'm assuming the library is a little more than just books. To me, I'm assuming there's still books there.
There are still books.
Good. Glad to hear that. So how do you see the library now? Because obviously it's not just the spot for books. So, how do you see it, I guess I would say?
I see the public library as kind of the hub of the community. We're a trusted resource. Everybody knows we have books. But the public library, we are the place we serve everybody from birth to the end of life. And we're always constantly reinventing ourselves, thinking of new ways we can serve the community. And, that's what we've been doing. So we have books, we have audiobooks, we have streaming services free. You don't need to subscribe to Netflix. We have a number of streaming services. We have a service called Hoopla, which is downloadable media, fabulous music, movies. We are looking, we do programming. We're very involved with early literacy and the importance of that. We work closely with the schools. We work closely with essentially all the organizations in the community to bring services. If we can't bring them to us, we look to bring the service to them. So we've recently, excited to say we went fine-free in 2022. Wow. We're always looking also for ways to eliminate barriers to service. And in our community, fines are a barrier to service. So just bring it back. There's no fine. If you have that, book from back in the 6th grade that you've been hanging on to, bring it back.
Maybe. It might
I'll never
still
confess.
Be there. No, I won't confess.
You can just put it in the book drop while we're closed and we'll never know. So
I'll blame it on Jack.
Yeah. I'll bring his for him.
Well, now you know somebody that works there, so
right.
You
we
got
have a little connection. Yeah, we're good.
We've got a connection. That's so. And with all the programs that I see, there's stuff for kids, there's stuff for adults, there's stuff for, like you said, end of lifers. Mm-hmm. It's everything, and that to me, that's the community hub is that seems like a good label.
And it's also a meeting place. It's a place where you can come. We talked a little bit about co-working space. You can bring your office. You don't have internet here, you can bring it to us. We have some quiet study spaces you can use. We are, just come and hang out. We love, no matter what your age, just come and hang out, and we've got something for you to do, or just a social place.
Yeah.
But we have chair yoga. We do all sorts of programs for all ages.
Chair yoga.
Yes.
That sounds interesting.
We have a certified yoga instructor that's been doing it for us for years, and So every other Tuesday at 12 o'clock, come on down in the meeting room and you can do, it's for all ages and abilities, but it's gentle
Okay.
yoga, if there is such a thing.
So I don't need to stand on my head if I came to do
No.
that. Oh, no, see, that's helpful.
That's different. That's different yoga class. That's one you go to.
No, that's
chair
not
yoga.
one I would go to, no.
Oh, really?
That would end up in a hospital visit. I would end up at Barberton Hospital for that. So yeah, no, I'll pass on that
Great
one.
help up there, though.
Yeah, we also added, we do passports. We're a passport acceptance facility, so you can get your passport with us. We do notary service now.
Wow.
We have, we're aware of needs in our community. We have a representative from Ohio Means Jobs at the library every Wednesday from 10 to 6. He'll help you with everything from your resume to, job searches. And we're looking to partner with more community organizations like that to bring more services into the community.
Wow. So, I mean, there really is. There is a broad reach of everything there. That's awesome. So, I mean, so like, let's say I need a question. I know the library's been a resource too in terms of looking things up like legal stuff. Is that still the case? I can find all that stuff there, and
We can, if we don't know the answer, we can usually find the answer. So, when you don't know who to call the library, because if nothing else, we can put you in the right direction.
wow, that's interesting. So
Yeah.
what keeps you thinking about, what do we bring in here next? I know you said there's this constant evolution, there's this constant change. What drives that for you?
I've worked in a public library for over 40 years now, and I figure I've still got so much energy and what can we do next? We have the most amazing staff at the Barberton Public Library, and they come to me and I had this idea. What can we do to better serve kids at Van Buren Homes? Or we're always trying new things. If it works, great. If it doesn't, we might dust it off and try it again a different way. But I have such a passion for this community. I wasn't born and raised here. We moved here. We moved here accidentally. We were turning around in a driveway, and there was a little for sale sign in the garage window. And I joked, hey, maybe the house is for sale, and it was. We never intended. I spent most of my years in Coventry. I'm a Coventry high school graduate. Mm-hmm. Right next door, I had never been to Barberton. Honestly, I had never been to Barberton, and ended up here. And it's been actually this August will be 27 years.
Wow.
Lived here. Intended when my kids got old enough to go to school that we transfer them, and looked into it. And Barberton, our school systems are amazing. There's just so much here for them, and so I'm a proud parent of 3 Barberton High School graduates who are very successful. And I mentioned earlier that I worked for the Akron Library System for many, many years. And when the position opened at Barberton, I thought, gosh, the chance to work in a community that I've really grown to love and maybe make a difference, I've got to try for this. And, when I came about 4.5 years ago, my feeling was, the library is at every table. The library is at every meeting, because we may not be able to meet everybody's need, but we can serve in ways that no other organization really can. And we're really open to working with, everybody out in the community to make this community better.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm astounded enough. You go while I sit here.
I'll
and
go
get
now. Yeah. What role do you see the library having in 5 to even 10 years? Where do you see it at?
I see we need more space. I see
Too many books?
No, too many services. If you've ever been to the main library in downtown Akron, the Tech Zone at Main, that's probably my proudest. That was my project, and I want to bring that to Maine, or to the main Barberton Library.
Awesome.
Vinyl printers, laser engravers, tools that people can, use to enhance their business. That's how we brought it to Akron, was from the micro business perspective. But as things happen and grow in Barberton with all the new businesses coming in, and we might have the tools that you could come and do your, at Akron we had a recording studio. We had a bunch of different equipment where you could use to make marketing materials.
Yep.
There's a T-shirt press, so you could make your T-shirts. The plan is to bring that to Barberton. We just need more space and more money and more people and more time. And
That's all.
anybody that knows
Just
me
those few
knows
things.
the other thing that I'm really passionate about is having a museum here in Barberton. The time is right with, for the library and the historical society and the city to collaborate. There's such a rich history here
There
in
is.
town,
Mm-hmm.
and with everything happening, with Main Street Barberton and all of the new things that are coming, just prime opportunity. And my plug to the mayor was just imagine if we had a meeting or a museum here, people will come to town specifically to see, all those artifacts that are in people's basements and garages and attics.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a great idea. I love that.
Yeah, definitely. How did you end up there? Like, how did you end up at the library?
I ended up my first job actually I was a carnival worker.
Carnival worker to librarian.
Yeah, yeah.
Seems like
Pretty
a
close.
It seems like
Yeah.
a stretch.
That was interesting. I started with the Akron system when I was in high school. Right before I graduated, my dad made me apply for a job at the Coventry Branch Library, which is no longer, now it's Portage Lakes. But my dad made me apply, and I finished through high school. And then when I was in college, it was a pretty good job to have because I had benefits, and I got my master's in library science kind of as something to fall back on. I thought I'll get a good job and then I'll go back to my true passion, which was psychology. That was my field of interest.
Yeah.
And it just sort of, I've never actually been a librarian, even though I have the degree. I've always been involved with technology and new and my last few years at Akron, I was the technology director and then the customer experience director. And I think that's, my boss at the time said, what do you see yourself doing here in your remaining years? And I said, I'll do whatever you want me to. And he said, well, at Akron, their colors are blue and orange. He said, I know you bleed purple and white at home, but here you bleed blue and orange, and your passion is really the customer. And I think he then made me the customer experience director. So I think about that when I'm thinking about the Barberton Library too. What can we do to make it as easy as possible for people to use us and get access to the resources and services that they might need?
Yeah.
That's wow.
Good come up story.
Yeah, that really is. I mean,
And 40 years later, I'm still working in a
Still in
public
it, so.
library. And I joke that I still don't know what I'm going to be when I grow up.
I have made that same joke.
It was not a librarian, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But I've, I'm kind of a bloom where you're planted kind of person, and I love everything that I do.
It's obvious I think I speak for most people that are going to be watching this. It's obvious, and when we look at the library, that is very much the case. That you do love what you do. To me, I think we're kind of moving to the lightning round here. What do you think, Jack?
I think so.
So our lightning round is we're going to ask you some simple questions, 1-2 sentence answers, and we'll go from there. So, I think Jack's last question is going to be a very deep one.
People have been waiting for this one.
Yeah,
Okay.
people have been waiting for this for sure. So what is your, quick off the top of your head, favorite thing about the library?
I just think that we're in a place to serve this great community. I guess, and that we are always transforming and adapting to whatever the needs of the community at the time are. COVID was a rough time. I hadn't been in my job very long, and I had to make a decision: do we close the library? And I didn't take that one lightly. At a time when people needed us the most. People still use us for our Wi-Fi, for our public computers, for printing, for faxing. And sometimes where else can you go to get help with that than the public library?
Right.
That's it. Yeah.
For sure.
This is another big one. What is your favorite book?
Oh, I'm not. I have to admit, I'm a big Stephen King fan. I love
Nice.
Stephen King.
Nice.
And I also have to admit that I'm not a big reader. I love to read. I do love to read, but
Doesn't seem like you have much time for that.
I'm-
with everything else going on.
You seem busy.
and I've had the fortune, I've gotten really involved in the community, just especially in the last year. But I serve on the Community Foundation board now. I'm on the Main Street Barberton board, and I think, talking about, you didn't ask, but something that I'm most excited about is the Main Street Barberton. Every meeting that I come away from, I think we all feel the same, that this is going to happen. I know you've talked about it before, but I know people say, well, we've tried all that before, but I really think the people that are at the table, this is going to happen, and it's just such an exciting time to be a part of this community.
Our next guest will be able to speak about the Main Street program very deeply. We will allude to that.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Maybe, just maybe. So yeah. Another big question for me is, if not the library, and I know you said some psychology is what you kind of initially thought, but if not the library, knowing what you know now, where would you be?
I'd be a teacher.
Interesting.
Either a teacher or, and I've often thought, I have a good friend who teaches kids with special needs at one of our elementary schools, and hearing her passion for these kids, I think if and when I retire from the library world, I might just go back just to be a teacher's aide, and just to be able to work with the kids, maybe make a difference in somebody's life. Let the teachers do the hard stuff, and I'll just be there to work with the kids.
Just be there to smile and for playtime.
Well,
that to me, that sounds like a big win. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in for that.
And our fan favorite, how many times a day do people get shushed at the library?
Yeah,
Is it just a myth? Or
you guys haven't been to the library in a long time. We are not a shushing. Although I have to tell you, I did get shushed by a patron not too long ago.
Really?
I was talking with a person who's a little hard of hearing, and oh boy,
So you
I
got shushed.
I did. I got shushed.
Wow.
But no, we're not.
You seem to recover from it.
Yeah. It's not the standard traditional library.
It is not. The library is not stuffy anymore. Is what I'm pulling away from this.
That would be that's what I would say. Now someone else might say something different, but
No,
I'll take
like
your word
this.
for it.
Yeah, no, I like
I
this.
trust you.
So to me, we have to ask you our big questions that we're asking everyone else. And so far, we realize that there are a ton of bowling balls at the bottom of Lake Anna, which is somehow also bottomless because there's a German U-boat that came from Lake Erie.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So what is your favorite Barberton folklore / tall tale / rumor?
well, it's hard to top for sure. But my kids, all three of my kids went to Portage Elementary, which is now one of the Christian Healthcare Ministries buildings. And I spent a lot of time in that school with the kids and volunteering and doing Destination Imagination. And Mr. Six was the custodian at Portage Elementary, and he would take us down into the recesses. If you've ever been in Portage, there are a lot of nooks and crannies and little rooms and things. And he took us back into the back, and supposedly it was haunted. And when you walked back, you felt the cold air and the presence of, I don't remember who it was. And try as I might, every time he took us back there, I'm like, okay, be quiet. Let's, never felt it, but Mr. Six said it was there, so it must be. So I don't know if anybody at Christian Healthcare Ministries has experienced, in the basement,
Have
the
to go
presence.
test it out.
Yeah.
Or they have just avoided it, maybe.
Maybe.
They knew about it, and that's the reason you don't hear about it anymore. They stayed
Right.
away from it.
That might be.
They just said they decided to keep their mouths closed. They didn't. Yeah, no, I understand that.
And then just to top it off, what do you see as the future for Barberton, and where do you think we're headed, what are the bright spots?
I think there's so many bright spots. I mean, our schools, our city, the things that are happening in the city right now, it's just exciting. And I think we're moving in the right direction. Is it going to look like it did 40 years ago or whenever, downtown was in its heyday?
Yeah.
No, it's going to be something different. It's going to be something for today. And I just think, I'm hopeful that we can keep some of our graduates here in town, and they can make a life for themselves here, and give back to the community that raised them. But I think we're headed in the right direction. I think it's exciting. It's an exciting time to be a Barbertonian.
I agree. I agree.
Very agree.
Everyone we've had on has so many great things to say about the community as a whole. And then when you look at the direction that so many things are taking right now, you're right. This is the right time to be here in Barberton.
It is.
Be at the front of it. To me, that seems like a good spot.
Good end.
Good ending. Good ending.
Yeah.
And we want to thank you for being willing to come on this week. We really appreciate it. And as I alluded to before, we have an interesting guest. They've all been interesting, haven't? Yeah, we do not have dull guests here. We have another interesting guest coming up in our next podcast. So make sure that you like, subscribe, and share this with your neighbors, because we want your neighbors to get all this information too. We'll see you guys later.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.